Today we're not gonna build or put together anything at all. Today I'm just gonna tell y'all a fascinating story. Greetings, sailors, and welcome to this intriguing story. Greetings, sailors, and welcome to another episode of The Low-Cost Sailor. Today, I'm going to tell y'all the story of how we got here to this channel and why we started this project. Owning a boat, especially a sailboat, has been my dream for the past few years. But this passion wasn't something I was born with or soaked up from a young age. I don't come from a family that's into boating, nor did my folks ever take me to sailing lessons or anything like that. Actually, my dad, ever since he experienced seasickness for the first time about 50 years ago, hasn't set foot on a boat again, not even this one. But if we take a little trip back to the roots of my hobby, even as a kid I did get a quick taste of water sports through my cousins, who kinda got me started in the world of windsurfing, hoisting the sail and wiping out. And one time my brother and I tried our hand at a bit of water skiing, but that's about it. I really got into water sports years later. I was working, looking for a bit of an escape from that work tedium, so I eagerly started getting back into the water world a bit more. First off, I started with something super simple, a canoe. Lots of road trips with her, hauling stuff back and forth, with the car's trunk packed to the gills, discovering new places. But in the end, to really enjoy kayaking, you had to find a new spot to explore every time, and that's when I started to mix in a bit of windsurfing. And that's where my first real step into the world of sailing began, discovering for the first time the joy of being propelled by the wind. That got me hooked, hours in the water, learning, having fun, evolving. I shifted from windsurfing to kitesurfing, and my days on the water skyrocketed, hauling gear everywhere, traveling to new spots to ride the waves. But one fine year, I switched jobs, met some new folks, co-workers who later turned into wonderful friends, and who are actually a key part of this story. A great example is Carlos, a close buddy, partner in this adventure, who you'll occasionally hear cracking up behind the camera, and the mastermind behind the quality of the videos you usually see. He was the first to take me out on a boat, his dad's boat, a 6-meter motorboat with quite a few years under its belt, but which we kinda turned into our summer fun hub, spending days on wild adventures and loads of experiments on it. Back then I didn't have any boating licenses yet. By going out on the Trastorillo, which is what they call the boat in question, well, I started getting a taste for it. But without a doubt, the absolute game changer in the boating world for me was certainly my first boat vacation experience. Renting a boat, taking your home with you, sailing with the wind, stopping, taking a dip, hanging out with friends. The feeling of freedom completely and utterly hooked me right off the bat. To such an extent that we did it again and again, then sailing around the Balearic Islands, usually with some of my buddies who actually had the right licenses and more or less knew how to handle the boats. Altogether, and once I was totally sure I was into boating, I started studying and getting all those boating licenses I now have, doing the necessary hands-on training and learning everything I could or everything you learn with the official certifications. You could already tell I was itching to have a boat. With more imagination than money, I ended up building all sorts of floating gadgets that in some cases might briefly resemble a boat, but I was far from sticking an engine on a canoe, strapping 2 canoes together to make a catamaran, slapping a sail on that catamaran, attaching an outboard motor, recycling all kinds of floating junk people were giving away. Well, a whole bunch of experiments. That came out of the ideas I had at the time. But to really start sailing and learning, what I actually had to do was sign up with a racing boat. It's the best way to go, the Kyrios. That's where I really learned the ropes, a true sailing school for me, all thanks to Jose Luis, the skipper and owner, and crew members way more seasoned than me like Nando, Jorge, Marcel, and a bunch of others, from whom I picked up bits and pieces little by little. The skills I've been picking up, racing around the Bay of Santander, taking on the Cantabrian Sea, and even some longer races out in the Mediterranean for several days, were a real education for me. And that's how it was until my desire to have a boat, and especially my buddy Alfonso's encouragement, gave me the push I needed to buy our own boat. And what I found out is that buying a boat ain't that hard. You can find them in all sorts of prices, sizes, and ages you can think of. In our case, it was a 20-year-old Beneteau 321. We found ourselves in La Coruña and sailed adventurously to Santander, with a crew more full of good intentions than skills. But that's where I found out the real issue ain't buying a boat, it's keeping it afloat. Anything that sounds nautical or has the word nautical in it is pricey right off the bat. starting with finding a slip to dock the boat, which in some ports is priced higher than gold, or when something breaks or you want to add something to your boat. From the moment you buy it with that nautical tag, to the hoops the administration makes you jump through to install it, including approvals that sometimes contradict each other. It all seems to be about paying up. How much cheaper everything would be if they ditched the cliche that boating is some elite thing for the rich, and the government brought the legislation to a reasonable point, where it actually stands. In other civilized countries where there aren't so many hurdles, moorings are much more affordable and everything's cheaper, but that doesn't mean there's a smaller market or that less money is made from it. That makes it more popular and everybody wins big time. So, since I've always been all about keeping my boat in tip-top shape and making all the upgrades I can, but my budget has never really matched up with my enthusiasm for sprucing things up, I've had to get creative in finding low-cost solutions I could use on my boat to replace the pricey ones that were out of my league. Over the years, we've added dozens of those top-notch gadgets to the boat. Cameras for keeping an eye out or navigating, systems to detect flooding, fires, navigation and surveillance instruments, 1,000 inventions to tackle emergencies at sea or just to make life on board more comfortable and cozy. Often for laughably low prices like less than $10, they do the job of something 10 times more expensive that's got that nautical tag on it. And that's the whole point of this channel and the associated blog, just with a teaching spirit to share those ideas that might be useful to y'all, and beyond just copying them as is, you can tweak them a bit to fit the needs of your boats. Because every single boat is its own unique universe, whether you've got a sailboat like this one, or something totally different, or perhaps a motorboat, or not even a boat at all, but rather a camper, or a van that's your second home. A lot of the ideas we're going to share here can be tweaked to fit any of those settings, and y'all are going to find them super useful because they're a bunch of really clever ideas that you're going to love. So I'm encouraging y'all to keep up with us, to have a blast with the videos and posts we share, and if you want to help us keep this thing rolling, you can do it in a super simple way. Just go ahead and subscribe to the channel, follow us on social media platforms, and if we share something you truly dig, please hit that like button. Y'all can certainly find all the necessary links in the video description below. Catch you in the upcoming episodes. Catch you later. Come on guys, subscribe everyone. Y'all.